right, I don't see myself being able to get any higher than I already am.
Yeah.
I would not want to be any higher than I currently am.
So we'll call it, we're going to say we're high now. Mark, should maybe we all be on the couch just so we're like...
do a scooty?
Yeah. I don't know, is that weird? Will we be able to... We'll be sitting next to each other like strangers
I think I'm
on
good.
a train.
I think I'm good here, honestly.
Okay, now we're like strangers in a food court.
I like being on this side.
We can be friends
like,
in a food court.
I feel like if I was
we
behind
could
a
be.
desk, we would all be on a TV show.
I'm going to use this to blow my nose. Hold on.
Oh. When
What?
we get that boom mic,
Okay.
we're going to fuck shit.
I thought you were saying, oh, and I was like, what did I just blow my nose into?
If you guys can attach a USB cord to this, I have a badass mic.
Cool.
Oh, no. My friend is letting me borrow a GoPro and a boom mic. We
nice.
do like a TV show. Like a talk show.
Oh, I had such a dope idea. We are recording now, by the way.
Yes.
Okay. I had an idea. Welcome to episode 3, I believe, of Joint Break.
I almost said Star Wars.
Episode 3 of
We have
Star
been
Wars.
getting fucked up today.
Anybody that's still listening, I appreciate it because...
We just started the episode.
I know, but a lot of people turn it off and it's that rambling beginning. We got to figure out, I don't know.
We'll add music before this.
Yeah, music and probably some sort of laser noises
Screaming in the
to
night,
really
dude.
keep people
Like that
engaged.
BG song.
Oh, we still got that joint to smoke while we do this. All right.
I'm
Joint
gonna
break.
die.
It's the name of
Okay.
the show.
I didn't realize that's why Mark made joints for while we.
Well, also
Podcast.
because I like smoking a lot. I really
Yeah.
like it.
But here's the idea that I had
I've been so afraid of
that I really, really want to do. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Stick with me
Okay,
here.
but wait.
TV show.
It would be a 24-hour filmed smoking circle of Portland comedians where there's always at least 4 people
And you filter in and out.
filter in and out through a 24-hour period. We pick somebody's like backyard or something, and it's getting filmed the entire time for 24 straight hours. We keep this going where every like 3 or 4 hours. Well, I don't know if people can last 3 or 4 hours at a
Maybe
time.
like
Every couple hours, a new batch of like one person leaves from the group and then another person shows up. And then what we do is we take the stories that come up that are told during this like smoking circle and we make them into like, you show the actual like footage from the smoking circle and people getting high and stuff, like the comics talking to each other, but then as a story starts to get told, like it goes into an animated
cut to animation.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we could make like 24 episodes out of that, you know, representing like, take the best 20 minutes out of each hour and make, you know, make like a full fucking season or whatever of this weird little show. I think it would be dope.
It would be. Because a lot of stories would come out from high people.
For sure. We could maybe call the show Joint Break, and this is the associated podcast where the idea was first discussed. I'm just saying.
Like that Letterkenny show, except it started as a YouTube series. I'm very, very stoned right now.
We're all very stoned right now, including our guest, the wonderfully funny and kind local Portland comic Kris Cox. Welcome, Kriss, to Joint Break.
Hey, Chris.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Mark, Tyler.
We just gave him a big dab of Hood Oil's White 99 sugar wax.
And I don't dab.
He doesn't dab much.
Yeah.
So what I like to do is to take comedians and then get them far higher than they're used to being, and then try to get them to actually speak into a microphone.
And I'm,
you know,
and I'm still here.
he's
still
still
doing it.
functioning.
So far,
Still functioning. So the point of Joint Break, I guess, the theme, a better word for it, is work stories. So what we try to do basically is just go through weird or funny shit that's happened to you, like, you know, through your work life, or you know, go all the way back to your teenage years, whatever your first job was. I feel like since you grew up in Alaska, you probably sold fireworks out of the back of like a donkey carriage. Is that right?
So I want to say 2 things about that. One, I did not ever sell fireworks while I lived in Alaska. For
Disclaimer
2,
in the back.
when I did sell fireworks, It was here in Oregon, and it was out of a tent
Ah.
in a Safeway parking lot.
It was in front of a donkey wagon.
So it was
Yeah.
a summer
Not
job.
out of the back of one. So you sold... When did you sell fireworks here?
I did it 2 years in a row. So it's 2017 and 2016.
Gotcha. Like, how do you find... Is that like a job you find on Craigslist where...
Oh no! So the person who got me to Alaska is a friend of mine named Shannon, who I've known since 2nd grade, and her brother already lives here, and he ran a fireworks tent for like 2 weeks out of the year, and he looks for people to come work it with him, and like he'll give you a percentage of profit and whatever.
That's like... Is he one of the... Like, that can't be all he does, right? Like, he doesn't make enough off of the fireworks to...
It's just a bonus.
Like, around
but
Halloween,
but
does
like,
he sell
he'll
masks
make
rather
like
than-
I don't know. Yeah,
Like-
he'll make. We all make a good chunk.
So, at like
I walked away
Easter...
with like 3,000
Can you imagine
for
being
2
this...
weeks of work.
Wow.
There are people out there
I
who
felt pretty
just
good
do
about it.
I
like
wanna work
seasonal
there.
shit
It was
like that
great.
with the tent.
Wait,
Hey,
say that
what?
again?
Just like doing season, just like I own this tent, and just every season that comes up, every new thing, I'm gonna sell shit out of my tent. So as 4th of July comes up, I'm gonna sell these fireworks, and then like school supplies, and then Halloween costumes, and then plastic Jesuses for Christmas. 'Cause people want to put plastic Jesuses, baby ones, in their front lawn.
You could sell turkey
You know what I'm
pans
saying?
and basters for
Yep,
Thanksgiving.
indeed. People love to do that. So, yeah. And for Easter, you get the green plastic grass.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Chris is staring at me so intensely right now. He's trying to figure out what the fuck.
Are you serious?
Yeah. I think he thought that
All
I
I
was really
could think was
describing a
the last
plan.
one was just bad. That's all. Like you lose so much money. Also licensing for all of those things.
People would
Like,
walk
this
in.
is a terrible business plan.
When you're selling the green plastic grass, people would walk in and look at it and think you hadn't put your products out.
You're like, nope, this is it.
Yeah, no, this
You're
is.
always Easter egg hunting with this piece of
Yeah,
grass.
we sell it by the half gram. It's real light. So, what was your first job you ever did?
So I was I was working at a place called the Great Alaska Pizza Company,
What?
making pizza.
GAPC.
Gapco is what we called it.
Gotcha. Now, what's the
None of us were cool.
what's the quality of pizza in Alaska?
Oh, it's good. I mean,
Like, I don't know. I feel like it can't be.
why not? We have Domino's, we have Pizza Hut. What do you mean?
Those are terrible, terrible
Like,
pizza.
fuck
options.
you. What's a good pizza to you?
Like sizzle pie and
Straight
straight from New York and Atlas Pizza, and back in Richmond, Belmont Pizzeria.
These all
You get the
sound very
potato
expensive.
pizza. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are too expensive.
Well, yeah, that's. I don't know.
You
Dude,
gotta
I loved
splurge on
working there
sometimes.
because we would make crew pies, which is where we could just make whatever, and we always went like it was 3 layers of the chili flakes,
Oh, yeah.
and like cheese and meats, and then shunk. Like and we would always use a ranch base.
So, what kind of debaucherous shit happened at the Great Alaska Pizza Company?
Not a whole lot. This is not a good one for what
It
this
was a wholesome
thing is about.
job.
That is not the
It
question.
was just
why I
a
asked.
wholesome pizza company.
Yeah, it was just good. Like I worked there to get enough money to be able to get into
It's a
college.
restaurant. There's got to be somebody doing cocaine somewhere.
No, it's a small town, man.
I know, but that just means that
You didn't
the
know it
coke
was
is
Yeah, I
good.
just yeah, that's fine.
All right. So what crazy like what?
I did eventually work for a Pizza Hut though. Okay, and here's the great thing about working at Pizza Hut. We had this bell up above the dishes, and it just said staff break. And you would pick it up and just ring it, and like everyone in the entire kitchen would clear out and walk into a little back cabinet in the back, and then we would light up like 3 joints and start passing them.
Nice. Was this,
They were like union break, union break. No matter what the fuck was happening, and like the cameras had to have watched like 10 fucking people just pile out of cars
seriously
into the
pile
fucking.
in, man.
It's Pizza Hut. They know what's going on.
No,
And
was
then
this,
we would
was
come back
this-
out and we would just slam shit out.
Was
'cause
this
we
back
were all,
when
like,
Pizza
in
Hut-
it.
Was this back when Pizza Hut still had people dining in?
Oh yeah, ours does.
Okay. So the bell would even the waiters like
No,
walk away?
up front they don't get to do that.
I got you.
Everyone in the back though.
I was kind of like picturing like the bell rings in the back, and then waiters are like, "You're gonna have to
Fuck
wait
this.
a minute."
No, yeah, everybody's just like, hold on.
The person, yeah, somebody's sitting there like, and then a personal pan with ma'am.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're gonna have to chill for a minute. I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I had a
Give me like
boss at Pizza Hut, a guy named Tommy, who I will never remember his last name. He was covered in ICP tattoos.
Oh lordy!
And he told
more
me
than one.
that if I'm ever trying to pass a drug test and I have only a week and I need to pee clean, and I'm only afraid of them catching weed that's in my system, smoke meth, because it will pull all of the other stuff out. And it clears out of your system in 3 days.
I feel like...
And I was like, Tommy, you can't
know?
give people that kind of advice. You just can't.
Yo, if you don't want to test positive, just ruin your fucking life.
That's one of those fucking things where, like, if it doesn't work, and, like, the weed is still in your system, and they're like, and also methamphetamine? And you're like, yeah, let me explain. I was trying to trick you. So I bought... So I purchased some crystal meth and smoked that, and in hopes that that would make me hireable.
He was a good dude, though. Like, as far as, like, actual boss things, he was great. You just could not listen to any life advice this man ever had for you. He was very dedicated to teaching me how to make cat litter into an explosive.
Oh, lordy.
No idea why. I was trying to make dough.
Just sitting over here trying
I just wanted to make pizza, man.
Man,
You gotta slap that shit out into, like...
I miss
your
being
hands
high
today,
as shit
you
at
know?
Auntie Annes in the Chesterfield Town Center mall food court, sitting there with my huge thing of pretzel dough, cutting off a strip. You bang it twice on the table to stretch it out, and then you roll it, and then you go whap, whap, and you got a pretzel, and you fucking put it in the oven. 7 minutes later, you got this deliciousness. It's great. I miss Auntie Annes, except for my stupid boss.
We gotta start baking more. We need to make more pizzas here, guys.
For sure.
What's our next business venture? Pizzas.
Yeah, I'd love, THC pizzas. Or just pizza. I had a girlfriend in college. My ex Nicole worked at a Pizza Hut as a delivery driver.
Right, you want to sell both.
And she said it was the same shit where, like, every now and again, about once every couple hours, the manager and two of the people from the kitchen would just disappear into the walk-in freezer for a little bit and get high.
I think I've smoked in a walk-in before.
I wasn't sure if that was going to end with and got high or and had sex. I wasn't sure.
I don't know, man.
I mean,
I didn't work there.
It means the freezer.
It's all secondhand information for me. So, did you ever work at a Papa John's?
No.
Domino's.
No. Those are my
all
pizza
the
ventures. I've worked other food things. We worked at Taco Bell. I've worked 2 Taco Bells.
Was that the worst one?
Ooh.
There had to have been crazy people that came through Taco Bell. I put the emphasis on Bell, and you put the emphasis on Taco.
Taco Bell.
You say Taco Bell, and I say Taco Bell.
I say Taco Bell. Taco
Interesting.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Wait, do I not emphasize either word? Taco Bell. Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell.
Blah, blah, blah.
I'm gonna give that a solid no.
What was the worst?
I mean, as far as food jobs,
Man, we used to have this.
well, okay, so I guess my Taco Bell job where I worked on campus, I'm gonna say was my worst one, but that's because I had a day where, like, I was doubled over in pain.
Was this at a school you went to? You worked on campus?
Well, I didn't go there at that time, but I did at one point attend UAF. And then after failing out of my
University of
program,
Alaska at Fairbanks.
Yes.
Oh,
Got it.
Good for you. Good for you.
I was thinking a joke was coming.
No.
We just got the name of college, boys and girls. We learned something.
No, just
today.
a really smart guess.
It was a hypothesis. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
Oh my god. What was I saying? Yeah, so I did go to UAF, but not at this time. I'm working there after the fact, after I failed out of my program. Twice.
Yeah, I dropped out of college for a bit. I hate college.
Thank you. And here's the thing. They had different areas of it that I worked. One of them was a pizza place, I guess. But I also worked at a burger spot that also did breakfast.
Oh, nice.
And they had a Taco Bell up there. I eventually wind up at the Taco Bell at some point because they just cross-train me for everything.
Taco Bell is delicious, I can't deny.
Yeah, it's great.
It's not Mexican food, but it's delicious. Sorry.
And I'm doubled over in pain, right? And my boss is making fun of me, like, come on, it's not that bad. You're just milking. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't like to fuck around about pain. And it's like, hurts. And my girlfriend at the time, who was a psycho. But, for once, this worked in my favor, because she walks up to see me on break. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, double over in pain. And she's like, what's going on? I was like, I don't feel good. She's like, what kind of... Are you in pain right now? Like, real pain?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, this hurts a lot. She's like, we're leaving. And I was like, no, I have to finish my shift.
Like, no,
and she's like,
that.
no, you don't understand. And, like, my boss tried to get in front of her, and, like, she put the crazy eyes on him. And he was like, oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. Oh, I had no idea. I'm sorry.
It's really good to have a psycho on your side. For real.
Yeah. And we get me to a hospital, and they put me... they do an MRI because they think my gallbladder or my appendix has exploded. Is what they think.
Oh, great.
And they do the tests and they go, "Oh, you have a hernia," and I go, "Oh yeah, that." To which they go, "What do you mean by oh yeah that?" And I was like, "Well, at one point, like." I asked my dad, like, how would I know if I had a hernia? And my dad was like, you would know. And, like, I didn't know because that's why I was asking. But, like, that's when it happened. Oh. Which was when I was, like, 16. And then it got taken care of, like, 4 years later.
Yeah.
When I was 5. Okay, so, you know how... This is weird. But... I don't know if I want to go into all the details of it.
Do it.
So, when you're little... And, your testicles start inside of you. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then they drop into your ball sack. And then the holes...
his balls haven't dropped yet.
Exactly. So, they're supposed to come down, and then the holes that they came through are supposed to close up. Mm-hmm. But mine didn't. Mm. So, this is gross. But fuck it. My intestines were coming down into my nutsack when I was 5. And then this happened for like a week, and I would just be like, this is weird. I have like 3 balls sometimes. I'm 5 years old, mind you.
Yeah, you have no
so
idea
I was like,
really going on.
I have 3 balls sometimes. And then one day, after like a week of it happening, I went and told my brother, and he was like, what are you talking about? And I pulled my pants down and showed him, and he immediately goes, Mom! And like 3 days later, I'm in the fucking hospital getting surgery. I remember meeting with the surgeon, and she was like, okay, Tyler, do you know why you're here? And I was like, no. My mom was like, yes, you do. Just tell her. And I was like, no, I have 3 balls. And my mom went, no, you don't. We talked about this. And I go, I can't remember what you said. That's how I think of it.
There's 3 things in there. What do you want from me?
So that was, that was quite an experience. That was my first surgery.
I have 3 balls.
How long would I have maybe just kept that to myself if I hadn't decided that night to just tell my brother?
If a little kid had said that to me, I would have been like, what the fuck? And I would have ignored the shit out of it.
Exactly. Like, just creep away from me.
Yeah, I'm not going to that one, bro.
Yeah, I'm not going to jail for you. Get away from me.
Right, Tyler, what is your most embarrassing moment at work? Do you know what is your most embarrassing moment at work?
Well, sorry, I'm eating pizza. In Virginia, when I was like 23, working at the office with my dad and my brother, there's a whole bunch of other people working in the same office. It wasn't just us. But a small earthquake hit Richmond, which is like super rare for the East Coast, but it does happen sometimes. And the whole building started shaking. Like, violently, as if I thought that the warehouse had just exploded, because, like, the welders have these, like, gas tanks and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I thought that our warehouse had just fucking blown up, and I was like, "Oh, Daryl's dead." So I start freaking out because also the lights went out, and I start going like, "Oh, well, help!" And I happen to be on the toilet at the time. So somebody runs in there like, "An earthquake," and I'm like in the dark trying to get my fucking pants up. So that was potentially, I guess there was no one there to witness that. I mean, another time when I was like 16, somebody walked in on me in the Auntie Annes bathroom because I didn't have the door locked. That was embarrassing. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of something else. There must be other shit. Oh, one time when I had my dog walking business, this woman called me and told me that she actually didn't need me to watch her dog over the weekend because her business trip had been canceled, and I totally forgot that she had canceled me coming. So on Friday night, I just at 10 o'clock, she's sitting in her living room, like in her underwear watching TV with her dog, and I just opened the front door with my key, and like the look of fear and confusion on her face, and I'm just like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "Oh, what? Fucking Christ." So yeah, that, or...
Oh my god. I didn't know what I was unlocking.
Yeah.
Also, okay, this is the worst.
This is all the repressed memories.
This is the worst by far, but I never actually heard from the person who would have witnessed this. But I was hired. It's my ex and
Somebody's dead. That's what we just heard. Somebody's dead. Don't tell me the story.
My ex Melissa and I had a dog walking business.
Especially don't tell me the story.
When I first moved here, and we got hired by this woman she was a movie producer who had just moved here from LA. Rich as shit. Like, had all this expensive stuff in her house, and like paid us really well to watch her dog. Because it was the sort of thing where when we went to meet up with her, she was like, "So what do I pay you guys?" And before we could answer, she was like, "Is it like $100 a day?" And we were like, "Oh, yes."
Yes.
Sure. That.
Perfect.
Yeah. So the second day, like the first day we're there, like Melissa watches the dog and stays at the house. Second day I come to take over, and God damn it. I go in the bathroom to take a shower, get totally naked, walk back out into the living room and through the kitchen to get something out of to get my phone out of my backpack so I can listen to a podcast while I'm in the shower. Walk back to the bathroom, take a shower, come out of the shower naked with like the towel like over my shoulder, still walking through this woman's house completely fucking naked. And like what I remember is like dancing naked to the music I'm listening to, like everything out. And then that's when I suddenly stop in my tracks in her kitchen and notice the security cameras that she has in every fucking corner of the house watching everything, which had not been there when we came and met with her about watching her dog like 2 weeks before. They had been installed during that time, and I just froze staring right at the camera and then literally turned and ran back to the bathroom to get my clothes back on.
Oh my
God. So she never hired us again.
No.
Never heard from her again. It was... Yeah, so probably that.
Okay.
Were you like sitting on the furniture and stuff too?
Yes, I did.
Oh
I
my
sat on her
God.
couch naked. I forget. That's the one part I meant to say. I totally sat on her couch naked with my laptop in front of me, just like looking through shit.
You're a terrible person. Nobody should hire
Oh,
you.
Christ. What about you?
Okay. So, I used to work at the airport.
I've had a lot of jobs.
Yeah, I've had a lot. I've done plumbing, heating, electrical, but not like legally.
I was a construction worker for 1 week.
But no, so working at the airport, okay, I was doing fleet services, which is sort of like a James Bond way of saying I was an airplane janitor.
Gotcha.
But I'd like worked my way up, right? I was a trainer, and one of the other things we did was we would assist people from the airplane to wheelchairs if they needed it, you know? Mm-hmm. And we had a guy come in, and he was blind, and he was old, and he'd wet himself during the flight.
Oh, Christ.
You know? And so he's not in a good place. And they're like, they come down, and they're like, all right, Kriss, you're the one that we think is like the most tactful person we have. Like, 'cause they
Hey,
called ahead about this.
You deal with this one.
They did. They were like, all right,
That's
so we're gonna.
diplomatic. You are the nicest and kindest one, Chris.
You're our only hope.
Fuck
Yeah,
that.
they're like, you're
so
you're
bad.
the only person we can trust to not like fuck this up so royally bad. And thank you. And I did. And so I get there, right? And like as I'm coming up the ramp with the wheelchair, all I can think is don't say anything about being blind, don't say anything about being blind, don't say anything about being blind, don't say anything about being blind. And I get there and he's like right in the front of the cabin and I was like, cool, this is gonna be easy. And he goes to stand up and he almost hits his head and I go, look out!
Well, at least you didn't say watch out.
Here's the problem, he goes to walk forward, I say, watch your head.
And I was wrong.
Yeah.
Please keep
And he
your
just
eye on the
grumbles.
step.
And I get him into the wheelchair, and we've got him settled down, and we're on our way up, and I'm like, yes, finally, I can't fuck this up anymore. And we get to the top there, and there's a young lady in the terminal who obviously knows this man. She's so overjoyed to see him. And I'm like, look who's here!
You know what this reminds me of, Mark? Just 1 second, Cynthia. Hold on, Cynthia. From The Office, when he's trying not to say...
Oh, yeah.
Stanley's.
Trying to understand.
Yeah. How's it going, Cynthia?
His daughter,
Just 1 second, Cynthia.
Hang on.
his daughter walks up, and she goes, how you doing, Daddy? And he goes, I don't know. Apparently, I'm fucking blind. I'm like, right, you guys just have a nice day.
Love you.
He didn't file a complaint though, so
I'm sure he gets it all the time.
no, that was bad.
I'm sure he sees that kind of thing all the time.
Well, that reminded me of me. I feel like I already mentioned this in one of these episodes, but me walking past this quadriplegic center in North Portland, and there were two guys outside in electric wheelchairs who were like, you know, obviously completely paralyzed from the neck down. And as I walk past them, they turn and look at me, and one of them goes, how's it going? And I went, oh, just having a nice little walk. You know how it is. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
just you know, niceties is what I meant.
Oh my god.
You know how it is. God damn it.
You know how it is, bitch.
Look on the upside, you can run faster than them. You can get away from this problem. I had to stay at work.
True. Oh, Christ.
Yeah, but that guy couldn't identify you if he saw you.
Well, there's this guy.
He did. 2 weeks later, he's on his way back. He's coming through. I'm doing wheelchair duty, and he hears my voice, and he goes, were you the one who was here when I first landed? And I like deep sigh. I'm like, yeah. He's like, look, I want to apologize for my attitude that day. I was having a bad day. I was like, sir, you have nothing to apologize for. We are definitely cool.
Yeah.
And he's like, man,
You
can
should have said,
like...
well, I could see that.
I saw this apology coming, honestly.
And like, he tipped me $40, and I was like, I don't know how the worst day of my work life turned into a $40 tip. But that's great.
That was awesome from him to fucking admit that he was being a prick.
For sure.
I don't think he was. I think I fucked up a lot.
Oh. Well, it's like, you're just using common expressions, you know what I mean?
I mean, yeah. And the more you think about that, the harder it's going to be to actually keep out of your mind, for sure.
It's just so natural to say, look out.
So what embarrassing moments have you dealt with, Mark?
At work?
Mark embarrasses other people at work.
The worst thing was the Costco place where I had to wear that fucking hairnet.
Yeah.
God damn.
Mark
It still
used
pisses me
to
off.
slang samples at the Costco.
And they make you wear a hairnet. And so they tried to make me wear a beard net.
I was
too.
going to say, do they have beard nets and all that jazz?
And so I just shaved all the time and I looked like a fat baby. Because I was like 250 when I was working there.
It was thick Mark.
Yeah.
Thick Mork. It's, yeah. Overweight Mark, we call thick Mork with a M-A-R-C-K. Or maybe an O instead of an A in
Yeah,
Mark.
I feel like there's an O or an OA.
Maybe an OA.
Mork.
Or like some sort of mixture letter that some languages have, like an O and A together.
Mm-hmm.
Thick Mork.
Thick more.
I came out weird. I had a, what is it?
Wop.
Frog in my throat.
But no, the hairnet was definitely
Is it
fucking
thick?
top 10. Because, like, it was a Costco, so it's just the most attractive people you've ever seen wandering around with shopping carts. There were some uggos, and I'm not going to exclude anybody.
Another embarrassing moment for me at work was at Auntie Annes when my, what's her name? My manager, Pookie, who was 34, not to be mean, she's 34 and balding with like way too much makeup on all the time. A very strange looking human being. And she would say stuff like, my friend Catherine was about to go to college and made some joke about like, well, you know, going to all these like parties and everything, I'm going to have to work on my gag reflex. And I knew that she meant to be able to drink because we had just been talking about drinking when she said that. So I didn't even make a sound. Mm-hmm. And then Pookie turns to me and goes, "Did you hear that? Tyler just laughed. He's over here thinking about blowjobs. You got blowjobs on your mind, huh?" And I wanted to be like, "Pookie, I'm 16 and you're my boss and you're 34. You can't talk about blowjobs."
Yeah,
to me.
please stop talking about blowjobs.
And I would just sit there and fucking turn red, and she'd be like, "Look at him, he's fucking blushing because he's thinking about blowjob." And then one time she came in on Halloween night dressed up for a party. Looked like she usually did, but she had a leather jacket on. And as soon as she walked in, I was like, "Oh, I barely recognized you, like dressed up." And she turns to my coworkers and goes, "Tyler's over here like giving me fuck me eyes." And I wanted to be like, I should sue this franchise.
I mean, one of my managers did put her boobs on my arm once while I was slicing something. Like she was,
Just pick them up and just place them.
well, no, it was like I was like
I would
slicing
totally be okay
something,
with that.
and you have to be holding that fucking. You have to be holding the zucchini, and you have to be slicing with your other hand. And so with my extended holding hand, she walked up and was like reached over me, but she straight up just rested both of her boobs on my arm, and I stopped because this has never happened to me before. And I looked around to see if anybody else could see. Like, I stopped working completely. She was in her own zone at this point. And then she just walked away. So I kept slicing. I didn't know what else to do. And I didn't tell anybody.
That's because she didn't feel it.
I didn't tell anybody about it for a few weeks after that.
Just go home with
Yeah,
that.
she just didn't feel it, man.
No, she had really big boobs. And it was very, very obvious that she was, like... They were, like, on... It was a long time. And she was just straight up on me. Like, if a girl was just pressing her tits on you. And it was just that. Like, it was fucked up.
Oh, Christ.
She used to walk by and slap my ass, because in the kitchen we had
Well,
really...
okay, now that is some
Well,
context.
no, well, like, no. So
That
here's the
would
thing.
have
No, here's the
changed my
thing.
entire
In the
approach to
kitchen,
this
we had a very
conversation.
thin, like, hall to, like, walk through. You know what I mean? Like, behind us, like, we had a bunch of machinery. It was, and so a lot of the times you're walking by and you accidentally graze somebody's ass with your hand. So it was a normal thing to happen in the kitchen. But it was, like, every fucking time she walked by me. And sometimes we weren't busy or anything, and I would be, like, moving myself forward, and she would still somehow get me. And I was just like, she's doing this shit on purpose. It was weird.
Christ. I know I've told you about in 5th grade when I had a stint of OCD for like 6 months. So if like my right hand touched something, my left hand had to touch it an equal number of times.
Oh, no.
So
Hold on,
I had a science
story in
fair.
the last episode too, but
I
this is
may
my
have,
favorite
but fuck
story,
it.
so let's do it.
It was my 5th grade science fair, and my friend Connor was in front of me, and my right hand accidentally brushed up against his ass. So then my OCD was like, now you gotta touch his ass with your left hand.
Yep.
So I did that, but accidentally bumped it twice. So then my brain was like, now you gotta touch it with the right hand again.
Oh,
So
thank
I
you.
touched it with my right hand. So now I have touched his ass 4 times within a span of like 10 seconds. And then something in my fucking OCD brain is like, all right, you got to do it again. That wasn't equal enough.
Yeah.
And then as I go and touch it, that 5th time, he turns and goes, "Would you stop touching my ass?" In front of the entire room. The poor Connor sitting there mentally going through each time over like 10 to 15 seconds that I took. Okay, Tyler just accidentally touched my butt. Okay, he did it again. And now again.
Why is this happening?
Why is this? If he does it again, I swear, oh my God, you have to stop touching my ass. Christ, so goddamn embarrassing.
Oh, you didn't turn around before that. Just be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right, I would have on 3.
As I was reaching out like the 4th time, I was like, "This has to stop. I can't let."
When you
this
got
keep
the
happening."
second cheek is when I would have been like, something is afoot.
I just was hitting it with the back of my hand. It wasn't a grab like Mark just did. A little act
I
out
pictured
there.
a tap.
I wasn't-
Like you're walking by.
That's better.
You gave him a good game. Yeah, sure.
A little good game tap.
No, instead you gave him the bitch slap.
The booty bitch slap. The booty back.
I just decided I had to get
Did you have
get a
some
hold of my mental health.
baby powder? Keep your good strong.
Oh man! So what other shit have you done if you've had all these weird jobs? I guess they haven't been weird. They've just been numerous. And
Well, I mean, so I had one job where the plumbing, heating, and electrical thing. Let me explain what I mean by kind of illegal.
Kind of illegal.
Me and another dude worked out of his garage with our trucks. And I don't know that either of us had any licensing for any of the things we were doing. But he knew how to do it all.
Yeah.
well, you do know, and the answer is no. You said I don't know if we had licensing for any of the stuff.
Not 100% sure if we obtained all these licenses that cost money and time and paperwork. I'm not sure. I just don't remember.
Andy
Yeah,
had
the
had
answer is
this.
definitely no.
Andy had this job going long before I met him, so he could have had all that in place already.
Yeah.
I was like,
But Andy seems like the kind of person that would have just said "fuck off" to that.
Yeah, and then like I know what I know, Ron Swanson style. Boom,
Yeah,
boom, boom.
he's very much,
I know more than
let him find me when they catch me.
yeah.
and they never did. And
It's up to the Swanson code.
He's still running
It's up
to
to
this
the Randy
day.
code.
And here's
Hey,
the
Randy.
thing: we at one point were out in Delta, building this TV tower, and we'd run into some Russians out there that were friends of his, and then he got into a drinking match, and then he drove us
Like
to-
spies or what?
No, they're just what? No, they're just Russians. Just live up there a lot.
They just live up there.
Yeah. And
Live life to the fullest, man.
they don't like people, and Delta's far away from
Oh,
people.
yeah, we know that about Russians for sure. They complain about people that smile too much, and I'm like, come on, man. What do you want? Anyway,
What
yeah.
Russian did that?
So then I fell asleep in the vehicle
Oh, fuck.
with Andy.
Oh, wait.
No, I decided I was gonna go into the little structure we were building and fall asleep in there.
what were you building?
So in the end, it was a TV antenna. It'll be about 100 feet tall.
Did you have to climb up in that thing,
No,
like to the top of it?
no. Andy did the climbing because I did all the rope work.
I gotcha. So you just put the rope around his neck and just pulled him up to the
He had
top.
a harness.
I see. Just right around his dick.
It's like between your shoulder blades.
I know.
Anyway,
Yeah, I was
Dick was
guessing.
between his shoulder blades.
Lord.
I love you too.
Well, when you start putting ropes on everything and pulling it, you never know where it's going to end up where.
Oh look, something to make me be able to deal with you.
Oh, we just ate so much food.
Yeah, we can eat while
You
we
guys
podcast.
couldn't tell.
And you guys barely even notice.
Yeah, I'll talk around anything.
So
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. He woke up drunk and couldn't find me, and he didn't know where I was. So he started shooting.
Wait,
And I woke up thinking that I had been shot. Like that was my first thought was, oh god, Andy accidentally shot me. It was my first thought. Turns out no, he had shot something else. Nobody died, nobody got hurt. But I popped out of where I was, and I'm like, Andy, what the fuck? And he's like, I couldn't find you. And I was like, your answer was to shoot the RV? That was your answer. Is that...
I guess he was trying to
Andy,
just...
give me the fucking gun.
He knew it would
No,
draw you
Andy,
out.
give me the fucking gun.
if I fuck this RV up, I know how to toss some sense into me.
I knew that if you heard that, you would come and,
You had no way of
investigate.
knowing I wasn't in the RV, is my problem.
Oh, shit, dog. True.
So no, give me the gun.
You could be dead to this day.
Could have been. I was very worried that I was. I was like, oh no, this is the worst thing that
And
could
he
happen.
finally
If you
did
had,
it.
yeah, if you had died that day, you could very well still be dead.
I mean, potentially.
Yeah.
They could have brought you back too.
Yeah.
If you're dead that day, maybe they brought you back, and here we are now.
Somebody like Kriss. They're gonna let him go.
It's got a do not resuscitate too.
Guy's got too many holes in him.
tattoo.
This guy's been shot 18 times by a friend through an RV. There's no saving him.
Oh, I do.
Even
have,
if we save him, another friend's just gonna shoot him.
I do have like 4
To find
indents in me.
What?
I do have like 4 indents in me.
Is that from getting shot by a really slow speed bullet?
No, it's from. Sorry.
Just
I
like,
didn't do that.
leaves little pecks in you.
No, I got
Broken
hit by a
pellets.
truck and it shattered my femur. And
Oh,
so they
Christ.
gave me 4 pins in my leg to keep
Yeah,
it together.
that's way worse than getting hit by a slow bullet.
Yeah.
Dude, oh
Just
man,
dents your
breaking your
skin.
leg, like what, when, a truck hit you, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Did you jump out in front of it, or did it run you down on a sidewalk? What the fuck happened?
So I looked left and I looked right,
Those are the only two things.
and I thought I could make it,
Oh.
and I'm much better at judging distances now.
Yeah.
But the other thing, though, is that he was doing 60 in a 40. So we both fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have been right,
Yeah.
but
Had he been going the speed limit?
yeah.
Christ, man. That must have hurt like shit. No shit. What an obvious thing to say. Man, my best friend Rob accidentally backed over a woman at the dump, and also called the landfill. I don't know if people always, everywhere call it the dump.
Shame.
Yeah.
Okay. I just was like, is that a regional thing?
I call it the dump. That's, yeah.
So he was at the dump with his uncle and was, I think he might have only been like 15 or 16, and jumped in the truck to back it up so they could like push stuff out the back of it, his uncle's truck. Didn't look behind him, and there was a woman who worked at the landfill standing right behind the truck, and he backed over her and broke her leg.
Oh my god!
And when he told me that, I started laughing because it was so
Oh
absurd.
my
Yeah.
I was like, "You did what?" And he was, "It's not fucking funny, man."
Hilarious.
And I was like,
You dipshit.
I was like, "Well, no, I don't. You know,
Kind of funny.
I don't necessarily think it's fun." Then I would bring it up for years after that. I would be like, we'd all be talking. I'd be like, tragedies happen. Like when Rob backed over that woman at the landfill. I'd be like, dude, it's really not funny. My uncle had to pay like tens of thousands of dollars. I'm like, no, it's okay. I'm just, we all make mistakes like that. We all back over people at the landfill.
Every time I'm at the dump, I feel like I should.
But just, that fucking reaction when somebody tells you something that absurd and you just laugh. Just like, they're like, yeah. And then as soon as my grandfather got back from World War II, he was at a zoo in Berlin and a tiger ate him. And you're like, that's funny. I'm sorry.
So also working with Andy was some strange moments. So we would do like Adderall in the morning, to get ourselves going, with like green apple Rockstar,
I feel like that second part might not be too necessary when you start, with Adderall, and then just to make sure that it worked, an energy drink.
Yeah.
Well, it was time release, so I wanted some now.
Oh, yeah.
juice,
You need to wake up, and then you need to...
Plus, you
True.
need to swallow it with something, so,
That's very true.
it seemed to be the answer.
Seemed to be the right route to take.
Fucking doing
And,
Adderall in the morning.
And we would always also have like a 6-pack of beer on hand. And so
Just in case.
I have a fear of heights, and Andy's solution to that was, cool, your turn to start drinking on the job. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, we're going to hang out, it's going to be fine. And then he got me good drunk. He's like, cool, now get up this ladder. And I was like, this feels less safe. He's like, yes, but don't you feel more comfortable?
You're more
He's like,
confident now.
I do, I guess. He's like, cool, get up there. And sure enough, we got the siding done on this fucking thing,
Whoop,
so
whoop.
what are you going to
That's
do?
all it takes.
Indeed.
Just to drink some beer with your buddy.
He
Climb
was
up on a roof.
He was a real cool guy, though. We had a moment because I was like, Andy, I shouldn't be making the money I am here. I was making $40.
And he was like, you're right.
I was making $40 an hour if we liked the person, and $60 an hour if we didn't like the person.
That's dope.
And I was like, Andy, I should maybe be making 20
That's like
an
jacuzzi
hour.
money, man.
I was like, maybe making like 20 an hour.
That's like Disney World every summer. You know?
I felt bad about it. And he goes, wait, why don't you think you should be making this much money? And I was like, because I don't know enough. Like, if you weren't here, I wouldn't know how to do this job. And he goes, huh, interesting. And I should have been worried, because I know Andy, but I wasn't, because I'm an idiot. And so Andy picks me up bright and early the next morning. We unload everything into the garage that we're wiring up with 18 new halogen bulbs. And we've had to run all of the wire. Like, this garage is being built. We're running all of the wire for it. Right. And so we're putting all of the lights in and all the electrical. And we bring all of the stuff we were bringing in for today in. And then Andy sets down the last little piece, has me go start up the furnace. And then he runs, hauls ass out the door, slams it shut, locks it behind him, hops in the Jimmy, and drives fast and like Dukes of Hazzard style out of this fucking driveway, and he's gone. Doesn't answer his phone all day. You know, I can't get hold of him. I've got food, I've got water, I've got everything I need. So I'm like, fine, whatever. I guess just do this. He comes back at 8 o'clock that night. Comes in and he looks up and he goes, huh, that's interesting. I'm like, what the fuck, Andy? He's like, no, that's cool. How you got 18 halogen light bulbs all rigged up and up on the ceiling like that. Interesting.
By yourself. Yep.
Interesting. And I'm like, you motherfucker. We don't even know these work, for one. He's like, that's a very good point. But with all the work we did yesterday, I can now do this. And he flips the switch for the main breaker, and all but 3 of them light up. Nice. And he's like, and these ones needed new bulbs.
Fuck yeah.
Suck it.
And on that suck it, we need to wrap up this episode of Joint Break.
Oh, man.
Yep. We went through it already.
We just ate the pizza.
We're hitting our time limit before, I don't know, people just
stop paying attention.
Thank you so much for coming and hanging out, Kris Cox.
Thank
Where
you,
can
Kriss.
people find your comedy information?
Ooh, if you're ever looking for me, look on Facebook under Kriss Comedian, KRISKOMEDIAN, because I live my life by Mortal Kombat rules.
Fuck yeah.
And if Trump gets a second term, it's going to be Kriss the country comedian.
Don't do that. See, that is he went there, not me.
He's got to figure out a way to make some money in the under the new regime, folks. Okay, thanks for listening.
Episode 3.